In this session, I'm going to show you how to deploy a FortiGate-VM firewall on top of Google Cloud's infrastructure. But before we take a look at that portion of this video, I want to quickly discuss the deployment requirements so we know what are going to be our installation options and what are the limitations of the deployment. And then we will take a look at more important deployment options for the marketplace installation. We will start this session with a brief look at the licensing. We have two types of licenses available for FortiGate-VM deployment on Google Cloud. One is known as Bring Your Own License, BYOL, and the other one is known as Pay-As-You-Go, PAYG. The main difference between these two license types is that with BYOL, we need to purchase the license separately from the software, where with pay-as-you-go approach, the license is kind of like bundled into the software itself. Okay, this means that we will need to, in case of BYOL, purchase a license from a regular Fortinet's reseller or partner, and when we perform the installation, we will need to upload the license and register it, and activate this license on the firewall itself. This also means that we will have access to several deployment methods. We can perform the installation using the regular Google Cloud console, the compute engine. So build a VM, select a disk, upload the license, select the image for the deployment. This is another great thing about BYOL. You can pick any image you want. You can do this using the command line to kind of like script the solution, or you can use Terraform to fully automate the deployment. Now with pay-as-you-go, the idea is that we will, as I mentioned, perform the installation of the software and license kind of like in the same time, because once we perform the deployment, once the deployment is made, the firewall is going to be automatically licensed, and we will be able to use all of the supported features right away without having to activate anything on the firewall itself. Okay, the main drawback of PAG, pay-as-you-go, is that, of course, we will have to pay for that. The idea here is that we will take that PAG supported image from the cloud marketplace, and they will charge us on a per hour basis. So this is usage-based fees, what we will have to incur. One limitation of pay-as-you-go is that this type of licensing does not support virtual domains, where virtual domains, as we will see in just a moment, are available with BYOL, but they will require a separate additional license. Okay, now looking at the deployment requirements, probably the most important thing to remember is that we will need at least two interfaces on the VM, one for public and one for private. You could deploy more, use more interfaces, like when you plan to use, let's say, high availability, or when you want to use a dedicated interface for management. But at minimum, we need one interface on the public side and one interface on the private side. So most of the VMs, they should meet this requirement. Another restriction is that the licensing is going to be generally enforced based on the number of vCPUs involved. And this is going to depend on the model that we select. So it's like this or another model is going to support that number of vCPUs. There are no limitations for RAM. Memory is not a problem here. If you allocate more, you will have more available on the firewall. Okay, as of 7.6, we see there are several models available. The minimum number of vCPUs for each of them is just one. but it's all about the maximum number of supported vCPUs. For instance, if we take a look at FG-VM04, this one, they say supports up to 4 CPUs. And this is another important thing to remember. It doesn't make sense to pay for a VM with more than this maximum number of CPUs because the firewall is never going to use what's above of its maximum limit. So in this case, if we know that this particular model FGVM04 uses up to 4 CPUs, it doesn't make sense to use a virtual machine that gives you 5 or more because this is going to be a waste of resources. One more thing you may want to take a look at is going to be the data sheet, just to see what is going to be the difference in performance for those different models. The thing is that it's all about supported policies, virtual domains, 40 switches, wireless access points, and registered endpoints. Also, of course, as I said, the licensing is generally based on the number of CPUs. That's why we have those different models here. So obviously, if you want to handle more traffic, if you want to build more policy rules, you will have to select something higher than this VM01, for instance. Somewhere below here, they will also give us the SKUs, annual subscription licensing, and they will also tell us what license do we need for VDOMs, virtual domains, if we plan to use them. We will now take a look at marketplace deployment. I'm gonna use the pay-as-you-go licensing so we can see how to do the installation directly from the cloud marketplace. And we will also take a look at the more important options that we will be able to use or just configure when deploying FortiGate-VM on Google Cloud. A service account, this is something that we need to think about as we start. Maybe before we take a look at the service account, let's quickly go to my Google Cloud account and let's look for the marketplace. It's going to be easier to talk about these options when we see this in action. I'm going to search for FortiGate in the marketplace. And as I said, we will select the pay-as-you-go instance. And we will launch. They give you a 30-day trial if you use it for the first time. And by the way, there are going to be some APIs that you will need to enable to be able to deploy a FortiGate. And the first thing they want us to configure is going to be the name of the instance. I'm going to leave this FortiGate-1. And now looking at the service accounts, we will technically need 2 service accounts for this deployment. One is going to be to support the manager when it executes Terraform to deploy the product. And then another account is going to be for the firewall to call Google Cloud APIs. Okay, we will create a new account. It says that it's going to create this service account with all of the roles that are needed for this deployment, which is all this stuff here from roles /config-agent, compute network admin, compute admin, IAM service account user, and storage object viewer. This is what we need for this service account to deploy the VM. FortiGate, let's say, service account. I'm going to give it a description. we will choose the latest supported image. We have some other images to choose as well. In this case, it's much better than, let's say, with Palo Alto. You can use some older images as well, like with BYOL. We will use US East, let's say, US East 1D. I'm going to leave the machine type. This is going to be N2 standard for VM, which has 4 CPUs, vCPUs, 16 gigs of memory, and supports 4 interfaces, 4 or even 8. Okay, custom service account. So this is for the firewall to reach the Google Cloud APIs. We will leave it blank to use the default service account. Okay, boot disk, SSD persistent disk logging, 30 gigs of space for logs. This is going to be SSD persistent disk. And then another thing we want to focus on is going to be the interfaces. The minimum number of ports we will need to use is going to be 2, as I mentioned. 1 located on the public side, on the outside. And this interface is going to be configured with an external IP address. So we can, for instance, use it to perform network address translation on the outgoing connections. And of course, we need at least 1 interface on the inside. And this port is going to be connected to our workloads. As an option, you could also use a management port or an interface for high availability if you want to use the active-passive deployment with more than 1 FortiGate. The management port in this case is something that should get a private address. So this is going to work well if you use some sort of hybrid deployment and you've got your FortiManager located somewhere on-prem and you want to use it to manage the cloud FortiGates. Okay, in addition to that, we will also want to choose what traffic the VPC, the public VPC, is gonna allow on the cloud side. I'm gonna start with the interfaces. The first interface I'm gonna add is gonna sit in my public VPC or just untrusted VPC, and this is a new one. Let's go back. The first interface on the top, this is what I want to make my untrusted port. It's going to be placed in the untrusted VPC, and it's going to get an external IP address. Now, the second one, the second interface in order is going to be my private port. So I will put it on the private VPC without giving it an external IP address. And we will also add one more just to show you that you could technically also put something in the management VPC and then use it as the management interface on the firewall, like make it a dedicated management interface. Just remember that this is something that should stick to the private addresses in this case. Okay, so the order goes like this. We've got the public interface, which is what we add first. Then we've got a private port. And the last one is my management. Remember that this is optional. Just 2 interfaces, public and private, would be sufficient for the simplest deployment. Now, these firewall roles, the firewall section, this is something that is gonna control the communication in the first VPC, the top VPC, under the networking section. So remember that the untrusted VPC, which is going to be my public interface, this is also what I will use for administration, which means that these rules are generally used to establish connectivity, to allow you establish connectivity within this public a network that you also use for administration. And I'm gonna add all of these. I'm gonna keep all of these. If you disable them, you can further add them under the VPC firewall rules on your own. IP4, you want to enable it so that the firewall can route traffic. We will now deploy. It's going to take a while for the deployment to finish. Just one additional thing that we will need to do when the system boots up is going to be to make these addresses permanent and ideally also tag the firewall, even though the firewall is going to get a tag just based on the deployment. You can pick something custom to simplify further VPC firewall rules. So let's go ahead and wait until the deployment is done. Right now it looks that the deployment is finished. We are under solutions and solution deployments. It says that FortiGate 1 status is set to be deployed. Let's also take a look at the VPC networks. And let me quickly show you this under Compute Engine. Okay, Compute Engine should gonna show us a VM here under VM instances, which it does. We see that one of the addresses is external, so this is what we will use for connectivity. But before we take a look at that, let's also go and double check the untrusted VPC. I want to take a look at the firewall section to show you the rules. So we see that this is part of the deployment. The firewall was also tagged as FortiGate-1-deployment. And these rules is what will allow us to access the firewall. Okay, the last thing we will do here is going to be to perm the addresses. I'm going to say promote to static 10.227. This is going to be an inside address. This is trust VPC. Then 10.20.25. This must be the public address. So I'm going to promote and say give it the name outside. This one is management. And we've got a public address outside public. This way I'm fixing these IP addresses on the server side so they don't change as we use the firewall. In our next session, we will see how to connect to the firewall for management. We will see how to initialize the basic firewall settings, interfaces, DNS, some system settings. We will also create a client VM and eventually test our deployment. You guys don't forget to subscribe if you like our content. Thanks!